as workers brave new aftershocks to begin the long haul back. Damage is now estimated to be anywhere from $4 to $10 billion. This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting again tonight live from Oakland, California. Good evening. The number of dead, nobody knows. The number of injured, more than 2,000. The number of displaced persons, more than 12,000, an estimated 10,000 of those in and around Santa Cruz County, just below the Bay Area. President Bush toured the devastated area briefly today. He expressed concern about how long it would take to come back and how much it was going to cost, and he praised the rescue efforts and the comeback spirit of California. Oakland's old City Hall was condemned, and the city has to do business elsewhere. Many buildings were condemned on the Stanford University campus. Our chief White House correspondent, Leslie Stahl, begins our coverage.
The first word out of the president's mouth when he looked up and saw the broken freeway tilting and cracked was Jesus.
A lot of the people who were killed by these giant crossbeams that hit their cars.
Mr. Bush said he came to provide encouragement to the victims of the earthquake, to let them know he cares.
That steel that you're hanging out there is the vertical reinforcing steel of that column, and it just blew out the other side.
And he came to thank the volunteers, the firemen, the Red Cross. He called them 1,000 points of light.
You guys get a little sleep.
Before leaving Oakland, the president phoned the hospital room of little Julio Berriman, the 6-year-old boy whose leg was amputated right there on the freeway after his mother had died in the collapse.
I talked to the dad, talked to the doctor, and so there's this human dimension that's brought home much more clearly by coming here.
Up in his helicopter, a clear view of more devastation, the Bay Bridge. The president paused, hovered over the damaged section. Then south to Santa Cruz, where the mayor says 8,000 people have been left homeless. Surrounded by local officials, as he was most of the day, the president got more of what he was getting most of the day, urgent pleas for federal money. Estimates of emergency and cleanup costs run as high as $10 billion, and the locals want the federal government to pay at least half.
We got to get these disaster centers open and take the claims, reduce the bureaucratic red tape that sometimes goes with them, and I'm confident we can do that. So I can't give you a total figure yet.
What I'm always leery about is that there's a great deal of hype at the beginning of every disaster. And when it gets down then to the nitty-gritty of having to deliver assistance to people, sometimes that gets lost in the shuffle.
The president's advisors worked all day trying to come up with a specific package of aid, but they don't expect Mr. Bush to ask for as much as the Californians or the Democrats in Congress want. Leslie Stahl, CBS News, Sunnyvale, California.
Shortly after President Bush left Highway 880 here, rescue workers began painting initials on the side of what is the doomed stretch of the highway. ND, ND, no vehicle, no vehicle. Over here, 1CND, one car, nobody. And over there, DOA, dead on arrival. Grisly, grim work, part of the reality in the aftermath of the earthquake of '89. CBS News has obtained videotape of the work right on top of the freeway. Before anyone could begin removing bodies, huge slabs of concrete had to be removed from this collapsed structure. Then, bodies had to be wrenched out of the twisted steel of crushed cars. Earlier today, I talked with one of the workers, Joe Carter, who leads a rescue team.
We're always taught that in an earthquake, get in a door jamb. Well, the thing on the structure behind us that looks most like the door jamb would be your vent. And apparently most of the people that drove underneath the vent thinking that was the safest spot to be in.
An abutment.
We have a lot of vehicles that were parked at the vents, and so we assume that they got underneath there, they parked their cars, and then the structure let loose and came down on the vehicle.
The president talked to you this morning. What was his reaction?
I think from the look on his face, I think that he was visibly shocked the magnitude of what's here. When you first look at it and you're standing next to the structure and you can see what size of a bridge this is, and how long it is and you know what kind of destruction you have here, I think that then you become in awe of the situation.
Search and rescue efforts over the weekend could be hampered by rain. It's already raining in the very northern parts of California, and that rain is expected in the Bay Area at any time, or possibly it may hold off until tomorrow. As John Blackstone reports, this is only the latest reminder that even in a high-tech age, man may be at the mercy of nature.
Tuesday afternoon at 5:04, the usually forgettable routine of daily life became indelibly memorable. In seconds, it turned into one of those shared experiences remembered for a lifetime. Where were you when the earthquake struck?
It's a very helpless, horrifying feeling that's really undescribable unless you've been in other earthquakes before or if you're unfortunate enough to be in this one.
About 60,000 people were in Candlestick Park waiting for a World Series game that was never played. The mundane put some in great danger, driving across a bridge that couldn't take the strain. The regular commute on Highway 880 ended lives and changed lives.
I need some control on the getting in and out. It's starting to bunch up here.
At one point, he wanted us to cut his leg off just to get him out.
In the Santa Cruz Mountains, where houses are built virtually atop the San Andreas Fault, the fault suddenly showed itself, no longer just a part of geology, but a real crack through the middle of the house.
Just last week I was talking about how lucky we were living in California without all these tragedies, and now, a week later, here we are, ruined.
As the shock of Tuesday night fades, a new understanding of the terrible possibilities is taking its place. The destructive energy released was only 5 or 10% of a truly big earthquake. Californians have been given a demonstration of the danger that underlies their lives now and forever. John Blackstone, CBS News, Oakland.
The wind's increasing, the possibility of rain is increasing. The aftershocks of Tuesday's earthquake continue. Aftershocks not only underground, but aftershocks in the heads and hearts of the people in and around this Bay Area. Medical correspondent Susan Spencer reports on what's been done to help people get over what they've seen and endured and can't forget.
Man moved in this morning to finish the job nature started. Families in the devastated Marina neighborhood got one last chance to pack up. Lifetimes were tossed out of windows and stuffed into garbage bags. After the shock, now comes the realization of what this earthquake really has done.
We lost everything, and you see people who died in this building. We never thought it would be this bad.
People have had what's really, in reality, a life-threatening experience, and something that has shaken their perception of the world as a safe and stable place.
Especially for those who literally have no refuge. Once affluent, now the newly homeless, who lived in one of the buildings about to come down.
We have 15 minutes to get everything we can, like clothes, jewelry, and get the hell out of there.
Red Cross volunteers worry that some residents are so upset they are not getting out, that some, old people especially, may be hiding, huddled still in their homes.
People feel like they don't want to go out of their house. They feel safest at home, in spite of the fact that that may not make logical sense.
None of this, of course, has been lost on the area's children, who the experts say now need constant reassurance that the earthquake wasn't somehow their fault, and need to understand that everyone was afraid.
I'm sure that the big old houses fall down.
But teachers say the fear is receding the more the kids reenact the earthquake of last Tuesday. Everyone is being encouraged to talk. Counselors roam the shelters. Police are setting up a hotline. The Red Cross is overwhelmed with volunteers.
Just volunteering, and all these clothes are from people just off the streets who brought in their clothes.
But despite the community spirit and determination, past disasters indicate that people should expect rocky times ahead, that what happened in less than 30 seconds will take a very long time to heal. Susan Spencer, CBS News, San Francisco.
Still to come on tonight's CBS Evening News, the shock damage south of here nearest the epicenter, and the widespread tremors that have shaken the California dream.
The Subaru Legacy L and the Mazda 626DX. Which one is the bigger value? Well, the Subaru Legacy has a lot of standard features the competition doesn't, like more horsepower, power windows and door locks, four-wheel disc brakes, and an ETR AM/FM stereo. So, compared to the Subaru Legacy, it's obvious the 626 just doesn't measure up. Test drive the exciting 1990s Subaru Legacy.
Norman, what's that?
Nothing, honey.
That's a simple question.
Norman, are you eating something?
It's nothing, honey.
He lies like a dog.
Kellogg's Nut and Honey Crunch. Crisp golden flakes glazed with sweet honey and real roasted peanuts.
Irene, what's that you're playing?
Nothing, honey.
Two can play this little game.
Kellogg's Nut and Honey Crunch.
You ever run up against a tough sinus cold? As tough as it gets, maximum strength Dristan is tougher. To sweep away congestion, pressure, and pain. And it won't make you drowsy. When you can't call in sick, call on Dristan.
To my beautiful wife.
It's nice to know he still loves the way you look. And if you wear dentures, you can count on Effordent to freshen up dentures and clean away stains so well. With Effordent, all he'll notice is you.
Another big aftershock struck this morning, centered south of this Bay Area. A reminder that scientists now believe they have precisely located what was the epicenter of the earthquake on Tuesday. They located him in a corner of a state park not far from the community of Watsonville. And so, by brutal logic, as Bob McNamara reports, the 30,000 residents of Watsonville paid a particularly painful price.
It is the hands that make the meager livings around Watsonville. The hands that pick the bounty of the fruit and vegetable crops. But for thousands here, life is now living from handout to handout.
Whoa, we got money. We got money.
It's sandwiches into the scores of hands of homeless. Hamburgers to the hands of hundreds more in a city park. It's a woman and her children given clothing but not knowing what to do next.
Because a lot of people are desperate right now. They don't have, know where to go. They don't have any information as to services.
3 days after the quake, hundreds still camp in Watsonville's parks and playing fields, while in a pickup, a woman shelters her blind and sickly child. But not all of them are homeless.
A lot of the people are afraid to go back into their homes right now. They're worried about aftershocks and that sort of thing.
Damage to Watsonville's residential areas alone is more than $50 million. Across town, broken water mains worry officials about a contaminated drinking supply. And downtown streets are almost deserted while building inspections are made. Carnations lay where a woman was killed by falling debris during the quake.
First, it was just a big cloud of dust, and then a bunch of us went over. We got about 5 people out there. She died right here.
Here, too, many mourn the loss of St. Patrick's Catholic Church. Fractured and battered by the quake and more than 1,500 aftershocks, the 80-year-old church will be destroyed.
This whole building, probably within a week, is going to be dust. But the church will be strong. The church is people. The bricks, the real bricks of the real church are people. The real mortar is the love that holds the people together.
There are other words of encouragement around Watsonville. But tonight, as they did last night in the campground, they will pray that life tomorrow is better than today. Bob McNamara, CBS News, Watsonville, California.
A federal judge has been impeached. I'll have that and some of the rest of the day's news after these messages.
Considering all the people we serve, all the places we go, and all the times we go there, it would take a lot of airlines to be U.S. Air. U.S. Air, America's most frequent flyer.
Take my word for it, this is utopia. Am I talking about scenery, harp music, the betterment of man? No, I'm talking burgers, I had the most perfect hamburger in my life here. It was so juicy and delicious, thought I was in heaven, so to speak. Utopia does exist. I've eaten there. And if you ever reach Utopia, take my advice. Order the hamburger. Beef. Real food in Utopia, Texas.
If you thought you had to give up comfort to get a close shave, Norelco says, think again. Their revolutionary shaving system shaves skin close in a way that's incredibly comfortable. As the hair enters the chamber, the patented lift and cut system lifts each hair and holds it a split second before a blade cuts it, so it's possible to shave skin close without the blades even touching the skin. The lift and cut shaving system from Norelco. We made close comfortable.
A Soviet transport plane crashed today in the Caucasus Mountains. All 17 persons aboard were killed. The plane was carrying building supplies to earthquake-ravaged Armenia. It was the second crash of a Soviet transport plane in the area this week. Wednesday, all 57 people on board a military plane were killed when it crashed into the Caspian Sea. That plane was carrying paratroopers deployed to keep order in Azerbaijan. 10 months along the road to recovery from the Armenian earthquake, the victims there are thinking of the victims of a similar tragedy half a world away. Barry Peterson reports.
They prayed for the dead they did not know from an earthquake they did not feel. But, said the priest, we understand better than anyone the pain of San Francisco. The scars remain here from the earthquake last December, as strong as the one that rocked San Francisco, but far more devastating. More than 23,000 killed. These people have been made victims twice over. Victims of an earthquake no one could predict. Now, victims of an ethnic conflict no one seems able to stop. The ethnic violence is between Christian Armenia and Muslim Azerbaijan. As part of the dispute, Azerbaijanis cut rail traffic to a trickle. So construction supplies are scarce. Often the cranes and men stand idle at a massive new housing complex. Tens of thousands live in hastily built shanty towns. Whole families live in one-room structures. Some face the coming winter with only an army tent as a shelter. Marietta Minoyan shrugs her shoulders. We have no place else to go, she says. She worries about her children. Others complain that much of the problem rebuilding is simply bad organization by the Soviets. This was a special day for Lauda Ezrailian. Her parents brought the traditional gifts of furniture for a new bride. This day delayed almost a year because of the earthquake. Family and friends pitched in to unload. They remember those killed in the earthquake, but it's not their focus now. Now, they talk of life and plan for the future. Barry Peterson, CBS News, near Leninikon, Armenia.
More bodies were recovered today in northern China, where a series of earthquakes hit this week. At least 29 people were killed. Entire Chinese villages were destroyed. Thousands who lost their homes have neither the time nor the materials to rebuild before winter. Many said they owe their lives to a warning earthquake that sent them fleeing before a second killer quake struck.
A1, it's how steak is done. Everybody knows the pain reliever doctors recommend most for headaches is Tylenol. But that's not all. Tylenol is also recommended most by doctors for lower back pain, knee injury pain, contusion pain, postpartum pain, fever, general body aches and pain, and on and on. Tylenol, recommended the most by the people who know the most.
Subaru apologizes to the residents of Casa Grande, Arizona, for driving the new Subaru Legacy 60,000 miles in 19 days for a new world record. If you're listening, Casa Grande, thank you.
You
When that ref called my son offside, it was a Maalox moment. I took extra strength Maalox Plus. I need the strongest with my husband, the ref.
Extra Strength Maalox Plus. Strong relief for all your Maalox moments.
In Washington, the U.S. Senate today convicted Florida federal judge Alcee Hastings on bribe and conspiracy and perjury charges. Hastings is believed to be only the 6th U.S. federal official ever to be removed from office as a result of impeachment proceedings. Former President Ronald Reagan and Nancy Reagan arrived in Tokyo today for a visit that's stirring up some controversy back home in the United States. It isn't over just the high honor being bestowed by the Japanese government. It's over the concerns of some that the former president may be hiring himself out as a glad-hander and greeter for a Japanese corporate sponsor in exchange for a high promotional fee. Bill Whitaker has the story in Tokyo.
It looks like old times. President and Mrs. Reagan on a high-level trip to Japan. But this is no state visit. It's a multi-million-dollar paid promotional tour, and it's raising eyebrows even on the floor of the U.S. Senate.
He will be making 2 20-minute speeches and receiving a speaker's fee of $2 million.
The $2 million comes from the Fuji Sankei Communications Group, a Japanese media giant which has invested as much as $8 million in the Reagan's tour, and his visit is being promoted with a heavy ad campaign.
We thank the Japanese government and the Fuji Sankei Communications Group for this opportunity.
Mr. Reagan is not the first American to cash in on his popularity in Japan. Pop stars Michael Jackson and Madonna made fortunes on Japanese tours. But critics say what may be acceptable for America's material girl is inappropriate for a former president.
He could be giving a lesson, and he's giving a lesson, and that is go for the money and get super rich if you can from public office.
The Reagans say they will earn their $2 million fee.
They're getting 2 of us. They're working us like crazy.
Mr. Reagan insists he will discuss important issues while he's here, like growing trade frictions between the U.S. and Japan. But tonight, the question is whether the former president will be seen as promoting American interests or merely his own. Bill Whitaker, CBS News, Tokyo.
Sir Anthony Quayle, the brilliant Shakespearean actor and director, died today in London from cancer. As a director, Quayle built Stratford-upon-Avon into a world theater center. As an actor, he starred in the Broadway play Sleuth. Sir Anthony Quayle was 76 years old. British Airways PLC today said it was withdrawing from a group that's attempting to buy UAL, which is the parent company of United Airlines. That's another major setback to the plans of investors led by United management and employees to acquire United Airlines. The group's announcement last week that it was unable to finance its planned $6.75 billion buyout triggered the stock market plunge that shook markets all around the world.
There's no reason in the world why we shouldn't continue to do the things that we enjoy doing in life. Granted, we have the odd aches and pains. Well, my goodness, I mean, what can we expect at our age? But I find that if I have Bufferin, a cup of tea and a couple of Bufferin, and I can continue. And Bufferin, my brand of aspirin, allows me to do the things that I want to do. I really wouldn't be without it for that reason.
Bufferin, so you can do the things you want to do.
People who want that competitive edge also want the nutrition of 100% whole grain. But of these eating cereals, only Wheaties is made with 100% whole grain. So only Wheaties gives you whole grain nutrition. Better get your whole grain.
You better eat your Wheaties.
Now with 25% less sodium than before.
There's a motor oil that advertises world-class protection. Impressive. But Valvoline is recommended by name in the owner's manuals of these world-class cars. The other motor oil is not. Whatever you drive, Valvoline makes the highest quality motor oil recommended by any car manufacturer. Around the world, people who know use Valvoline.
A lot to talk about aftershocks. The aftershocks are deepest and worst for those who've lost family members, including those who lost family members right back there on Highway 880. Most of the people who lost members of their family in the earthquake never got anywhere near the death scene. But CBS national correspondent Phil Jones has spent time with one man and one family who did. Phil?
Dan, when the earthquake hit on Tuesday night, just a few hours afterwards, Danielle Ruby of San Francisco believed that his son was probably traveling this highway at the time, and he made it in here right where we're standing and has spent most of the last 2.5 days here looking for his son, believed to be crushed over there. First, it was denial.
We are hopeful that he's still up there trapped and could be still alive.
Daniel, what did you do to provoke this?
I went up there and I asked the mayor, I'm trying to. Did he know he was directly responsible for this?
Last night, Danielle's denial turned to anger at the mayor of Oakland.
I said, do you realize that you are the one that's responsible for this tragic disaster and catastrophe? And I wanted him to answer yes or no. Instead, he just backed off and he said, well, I'm not going to answer that. And then the other police officers just swarmed on me. And I says, I want you to know there's nothing you could do to hurt me that the mayor has not already did already. What I plan to do is contact all the family members and organize like a class action.
Danielle thinks a class action suit should be aimed at state and local officials.
I know there is no such thing as earthquake proofing, but there is earthquake resistance building the structure in such a way, propping it up. And they had over 18 years to do this, and they just ignored it. So I accuse them in conspiracy of this here mass murder, because they are murderers.
But today, beneath all that anger, the Ruby family began to cope with grief over the apparent death of their 28-year-old son.
I don't know, I feel like a big knot in my chest, and I don't really want to cry too much, or I don't know what to do, what to think.
He was a gentle person, very kind, unselfish. He'd do anything for anybody.
For the Rubies and the other families of the victims of Highway 880, the grief and anger are just beginning. And
thanks, Phil. And that's part of our world tonight. Live from Oakland, California, Dan Rather reporting for the CBS Evening News. To all of those many Californians who this week, in the midst of this terrible tragedy, took time to help us and be kind to us, to them, thanks and good luck. To all of you.